What's going on, everybody? In this video, I got two lovely things to talk about. The first is I'm going to show you a step-by-step system that you can use to build essentially a social media monitoring tool with a dashboard attached in Looker Studio. I'm going to build all that stuff out live for you. It's the same thing that tons of services out there are now charging $10, $15, $20 a month for. And the greatest part about it is you can basically build an entire backend for that app in make.com and Apify using a couple of cool techniques that I'm going to show you in a second. The other thing I wanted to talk about was I just opened my community. It's called Make Money with Make.com, hopefully appropriately named. I'm going to include the link down below, but this community essentially answers a lot of the questions and problems that people have had with YouTube so far. I have hosted every single blueprint that I've ever created, not just the ones that I have previously put up, but also a lot of the ones that I have sort of hidden from view, like my content generator, Upwork, RSS feed stuff, proposal generator flow, basically just all of the secret sauce. So if you guys want to get that blueprint for yourself, head down to my community and sign up. I'm also doing weekly office hours where I can answer questions in substantially more detail than I'm really able to just through comments and stuff because it's getting kind of overwhelming. I'm also creating exclusive community content, including a course that I'm calling 14-Day Agency, where I literally build an automation agency live in front of you. I make the website, I do my legal stuff, I do my positioning, portfolio, all that. Then I go out and I find customers and I do it all on camera. I show you exactly what you need to do in order to go out and get your own first, second, fifth, or 100th. And then I'm also jam-packing this community with extremely ambitious, like-minded people in both the automation space and then a bunch of spaces that are adjacent to it. So like we have some AI prompt engineers in the community. We have a lot of people that are doing over $250K a month that run either coaching offers or info product systems. We have some e-commerce entrepreneurs as well. But the one thing that ties them all together is their love for automation and, more importantly, make.com. So if that sounds like something you guys want to get into, I've left the community link down below. I'd love it if you guys could check it out. I'm more than happy to have you on this ride with me. Let's make this the best community ever. Aside from that, I hope you guys are looking forward to watching this video on social media scraping and dashboard creation. See you in the vid. We're going to need three things in order to get this system done. The first is we're going to need Apify, which I have a free instance over here with a $5 trial available for the next like 2 weeks or so. So that's what I'm going to be using. You can sign up for a free trial as well. Just head over to apify.com, give that thing a little sign up, and you'll have way more than enough for this system and probably many others. The Apify team is extremely generous with their trials. So that's first. Second of all, we're going to need Google Sheets. Google Sheets is where we're going to be storing all of the data for the Instagram dashboard that we're going to be building on Looker Studio. The reason why we're doing this in Google Sheets is because Google Sheets plays really nicely with Google products, obviously, like Google's previous data studio. Now it's called Looker Studio. And we don't need to do any like special fancy database stuff in order to make this work. And then the last system that we're going to need is Looker Studio. So very simple and straightforward sort of dashboard builder. I'm going to be using templates here, and I'd highly recommend you guys use templates as well when you're building this out. There's a lot beyond just putting the data on a dashboard, like design and that sort of thing, to make a dashboard look good and moreover be useful. So I just encourage you guys to use templating features wherever possible. And that's basically going to be the flow. Once a day, we're going to run this Apify scraper. That's going to get a bunch of profile information, including the follower count, number of following count, maybe some additional info if we need it. That's going to dump into this Instagram sheet, and then this Instagram sheet is going to feed into Looker Studio. I'm obviously going to manage all of the automatic dumping in make.com, which is why I have a scenario open here called Scrape Instagram Profile Daily and then add to Google Sheet for Looker Studio. And so we're just going to start with that, and then we'll build out the actual dashboard and everything out afterwards. Okay, so let's get going. The very first thing we need to do is we obviously need to trigger an Apify run. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather here. Instead of actually triggering it inside of make.com though, I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a previous video. I'm actually just going to do the scheduling in Apify alone. Apify lets you do a lot of the scheduling there. And what we're going to do is we're going to schedule it in Apify, and then in make.com, we're just going to watch for the run of that actor. So presumably that's going to happen like once a day, maybe 5 a.m. or something like that. And so Apify is going to be the trigger that is going to run the rest of our flow, if you think about it logically that way. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to watch the actor run. So I'm going to select the Watch Actor Runs module. And then in Apify, I'm going to have to make a webhook. And I'm just going to call this Finished Instagram Scraper. I have my own connection here with my email. And the actor I'm going to select, I've actually already opened it up so I can find it here. If you can't find it, then you need to go into Apify first and then open it up. I'll show you that in a second. But okay, great. I have my webhook ready. And essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be watching the actor run. Next thing we have to do is we have to go on Apify, and let's actually test out the scraper. Let's make sure it works. First thing we do is we go over to store. Then I'm going to just type in Instagram. And then the scraper that I'm going to be using is called the Instagram profile scraper. There are many different Instagram scrapers, as you can see here. You can get hashtags, follower count, hashtags, API, reels, mentions, more hashtags. You can get a ton of stuff. And it's worth mentioning, if you haven't seen my other videos on this, that you can also get data from like literally any other platform you want. You can get data from Twitter. So if you wanted to do what I'm about to do here for Instagram, except for Twitter, you can just do the same thing. Just go over to Twitter, profile scraper, right over here. You could probably do it for LinkedIn too. Yeah, you can do it for LinkedIn. What other social media platform? Can you do it for TikTok? Yeah, you can do it for TikTok. So literally any social media platform you can think of, you can just attach Apify as like the front-end scraper, and then you can have that feed into a series of dashboards if you wanted to keep track of, say, your own social growth or maybe a client brand account or that sort of thing. I should also mention, and I talked about this a little bit before, but you can basically build out an entire business using exactly what I'm about to show you. This is the back end for a number of services. They do the exact same thing that I'm going to be walking you through here. It's just instead of using make.com, they use code. And really, I prefer make.com for simple scraping applications like this because it's a lot more maintainable. You can jump in and change the flow in seconds as opposed to like the black box of code, which a lot of the time takes substantially longer and is rife with some other issues. But anyway, so let's go Instagram and then profile scraper. That's what I'm going to be using. And you see the look of this is pretty straightforward. Essentially, you just have an input that you feed in with a username, and then you just click start. And essentially what's going to happen now is Apify is going to spin up a server, and that server is going to go out and find the data that we're looking for. Now, the data that we're looking for in this case is very simple. You'll see there'll just be a username here called nick.sarayev. I'm doing this on my own profile, of course, because I want to be as, kind to people's privacy as possible. But what you see at the end of it is you end up with a photo here. You end up with the full name if the full name is accessible. Sometimes people don't actually put their full names, but I did because I love people to know every little thing about me, clearly. We have the username here, the number of posts, the number of followers, number of following, whether it's private, verified, business account. Then we also have a bio. So I'm going to feed in as much of this information as I can into the system, just because I think that this would be pretty interesting. But obviously the stuff that we're really caring about is we're caring about the follower count and then the following count. And what I'm thinking we're going to do is we're just going to do two things. One, we're going to have like a little dashboard counter that's just going to show us the follower count and the following count. And then two, we're going to have a graph that's going to show us the change in the following count over time. Since we're doing this once a day, it's going to be very simple and easy to make that graph. It's just going to have like every notch is going to be one day. If you're doing this, on demand, if you're getting them to click a button and then have that scrape, maybe a little bit more difficult to do. But, as I mentioned, this is an MVP. That's probably the simplest possible application of this. And the data that we have here is more than sufficient for now. You could sell a dashboard like this already for a few $1,000s, let alone when we actually go in and add additional functionality to it. So yeah, we have everything that we need here. What we got to do now is we basically need to find a way to put this into make. And so what I've done is I have a watch actor run module right here, right? If I click run once, what we need to do now is we need to run this again. So I'm just going to go back to actor and we'll click start. This is going to be running again. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm also going to add in the fields that I want. What did we mention? So we mentioned, I'm just going to pump in all the fields. We have full name here. We have username here. We have posts. Maybe we could see the number of posts over time too. That might be interesting. We'll do followers, following, private, verified, business, and then bio. So we'll do business and then we'll do bio. And of course, we need one more thing here. We need the date that this is scraped. So I'll just say date scraped. I'm going to bold these because I'm a huge whore for bolding. And we'll jump back into make here and we'll see that the scenario run is actually already completed. So I know I'm dancing around a lot, but I just did that because I wanted to save a couple of minutes. These runs usually take between 60 to 90 seconds. Now that the actor run is completed, looking back, we have a bunch of information and data. The most important thing for us is this one called default data set ID. There's no actual data from the run in this module. What we need to do is we need to basically watch the actor run and then grab the default data set ID and then go out and then pull the data that has been stored. And in Apify, that's really easy. You just go to Apify and then get data set items, drag that over there. And then let me just switch accounts here and then feed in the data set ID. Now I'm hard coding this because I just want to test this and show you guys what it looks like. You have a couple of options here with the data transformation. I always use clean. You can change the format to be whatever you want. If you want to like download a CSV or something, you can do that. I don't see any reason to. And then you have a limit on the number of items you can return. So I'm just going to return one item. And then because I'm just testing this on the actual dataset ID from last time, I'm just going to run that independently, and then I'm going to see all the data. So we have the username, the URL, full name, biography, basically all the information that we needed here. We even have the profile pic URL, which is pretty interesting. So I have that little profile picture that's cached. And it looks like they now store an HD version of that. So it's about as HD as it gets. Interestingly enough, this picture was AI generated completely. I just typed in like Nick Sarayev Burning Man, and then I trained a model on pictures of my face. And it actually did a really good job. If you zoom in, you'll see that there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense in this image. Like this person's, like we don't know if this person's walking forward or backward. It's sort of like ambiguous. That kind of looks like a tank. And then notice how none of these straps actually have any ending or real purpose. But I still look pretty fire, so there's that. Anyway, okay, got related profiles, latest IGTV videos, and then actually a list of all of my posts. That's interesting. I didn't know that I had that. I don't think I'm going to do anything with that. Maybe we can get the last post. I don't know. Nah, I don't think I will. But anyway, we have all the information that we need now. Now all we have to do is we have to add this to our Google Sheet. And the reason why we're doing this, of course, is because we want to do this once a day. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. We're going to go down to Spreadsheet ID. Excuse me. We'll go to Instagram dashboard. That's the name of this one here. The sheet name is just going to be called Sheet 1. And then we have a bunch of values here that we need to enter. So date scraped is going to be simple. We're just going to go over to the date and time module here. And then I'm just going to type in now. The full name, if we go back to our data here, we'll see that in this, the username is up here. Number of posts, we should be able to see the post count. There it is. We'll do followers count and then following count. We'll go private, verified, business. So if the person has a business, then this is where we'd put it. Just going to type in business up here. That's is business account. And then I'll type in bio as well. And we see that we have a biography right here. And I'm just going to store that just because. You know, the marginal cost of storing all this information is very low, and it's not necessary that we're going to use this to build out our dashboard right now. But who knows? Maybe, I don't know, maybe we're going to want it in a year. My general rule of thumb is I always keep more data than less. There's no real reason to store less data if you can store more. It takes like 2 extra seconds, and then you just never know if you or your client is going to want that at some point in the future. So anywho, voila, we have a system now that dumps new records into a Google Sheet. What's left? I'm just going to run this thing. And I'm going to, sorry, there's one more thing I got to do. We have to jump into the dataset ID. We just have to make sure that this is actually pulling from the actor. It's not just hard-coded. So all I did was I grabbed default dataset ID over here. I'm going to click run. I'm going to wait for new data because I want only to be running on the new stuff. And then I'm going to go to the Instagram profile scraper, and I'm just going to give this one more run. Okay, so now this is running. This is going to take, again, you know, maybe 30, 60, 90 seconds. We're just going to watch it this time because we just want to make sure that there's no issues with the flow, and also want this to be a little bit more dynamic for you guys. I want you guys to be able to see exactly what's happening the second that the actor is done. Oh, looks like it's already finished. That was only 15 seconds or so, much faster than I thought. 3 things happen here. First, we watched the actor run. The actor run concluded, and so we received a status of succeeded here. Then we got the default dataset ID, and then what we did is we fed that into get dataset items. This gave us all of the data that we needed from previous, including the follower count, the following count. And then what we did is we dumped it into a Google Sheet. So you'll see we basically have a list of updates with the range that we've updated, the number of rows, the columns, that sort of thing. If we go back to our Instagram dashboard here, you'll see that this looks great. The only issue is that the additional, like the data is bolded. So I just selected it and then I unbolded it. I'm also going to change the font because I think that looks prettier. And then I'm just going to double click these tabs. That's just going to space it out, make it look a little better. This date scraped here may be somewhat meaningless to you, 2024-05-23 T222439. Basically, this is makes datetime format, and it's storing the date first, separated by dashes in year, month, day. And then after the T is the actual like time on the make server that we ran this execution. So it looks like this make server is running on like CET time or GMT +1 or +2 or something, because it's saying that it's 10:24 p.m. Right now it's 4:25 p.m. here, so you know there's about an hour difference, 6-hour difference, I should say. But the rest of the data here looks good, which is nice. We got the follower count, we got the following count. We got everything that we need in order to build out our dashboard. Now I'm just going to do one more thing here, and that's that I'm going to add a little bit of fake data because I want to, like when I build a dashboard, I don't want it to be super disappointing. I want us to be able to see a little bit of data increase and decrease. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm just going to copy this, paste this in, then I'm just going to add a bunch of these. And then I'm just going to pretend that this started on the 20th, went to the 21st, we did the 22nd, we did the 23rd, and then we did the 24th. So I'm pretending that essentially we've scraped this for 5 days. And I'm going to start at like 11:39. We'll go up to 12:22. We'll go up to 12:93, 13:44, 13:43, and then 14:52. That'll be the last one. And then we'll go 500, 510, 520. Let's do 521, so it's a little cooler. 533, and then 557. This will just allow us to see a couple of like data points over time, which I think is pretty important. And maybe we'll do something with the post too. Let's go 7-8. Okay, and then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to schedule this to run every day. Very simple and easy way to do that in Apify is you just go down on the left-hand side here to schedules, and then I set up a schedule before. I'm just going to delete. All you need to do, refresh this. Oops, it's wrong. Is we need to go to create schedule here. And then all we have to do is go to the daily tab, scroll down, and then go to add actor. What we want to select is our Instagram profile scraper. And then the input is just going to be whatever the profile that you want to scrape is. I'm pretending that somebody just signed up for my service, which is scraping Instagram every day and monitoring it in social media tools and that sort of thing. And they just gave me nick.survive, so that's just what I'm hard coding in here. And voila, now we click save and enable. Excuse me. Now this is going to run every day at the time that we specified, and the time that we specified I think was, I don't know, whatever the default time was. So not a big deal. Now we have the trigger happening in Apify. Once a day it's going to run. That's going to run our make.com scenario, and that's going to dump things into the sheet. And then our sheet's just going to be updated constantly. And then we're going to use Looker Studio to pull data from the sheet. Hopefully pretty straightforward at this point. Now let's actually get out and build something reasonably pretty. I say reasonably pretty because I am not a very good dashboard designer. So I'm going to go over to the template gallery here. There are a variety of different templates that I think we could use. I just want something that's straightforward and simple that I can just click on the data and then, update it in 1 second. So, what looks reasonably sexy here? I always find myself like drawn to this Google Ads overview, but the YouTube Analytics probably makes more sense for us. Yeah, that probably makes more sense. Granted, we're not using YouTube data, we're using other data, so there are going to be a few things we're going to have to delete here, but yeah, I'm just basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this top section here. I'm going to change this so instead of views it says like followers, instead of hours watched it says following. Then maybe I'll have like posts down here, or maybe what I'll do is I'll have followers be the top. So I'll do like a really wide one, yeah, and then I'll do following, and then I'll do posts. That looks pretty good. And then, we don't have access to any of this other information, so we're just not going to include it. I have to enter a bunch of information here because it's the first time that I'm creating one of these things with my this specific account that I'm using. We're not going to say yes to any of these. Just their data collection stuff. Google wants a little bit of your data. And then I think I can just delete this now. Apparently I do not have permission. That's kind of funny. The reason why I don't is because I need to create a new thing here, and I'm just going to make a new data source. I'm going to go to create data source, and then I'll go to Sheets. Then I'm going to authorize Sheets to access my Google account. And then what I want to do is I want to select my Instagram dashboard here. And I'm just going to connect this. This will allow me to copy the sheet over and then sort of substitute it with my own data. Granted, there's a bunch of BS essentially where we need to swap the data. I'm not going to worry about any of that now. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to create the template and then I'll manually add the data in afterwards. Okay, we're going to call this our Instagram report. We got a little picture of YouTube here. Let me go Instagram logo, see if I can find a pretty nice one. This looks pretty huge. 2048 by 2048, whatever. We'll save it anyway. Then I'll see if I can just copy it. That might be faster. No, I don't think we can copy it. Does some weird crap. So we're not going to do that. We're going to go down to here where it says YouTube logo, and then I'm just going to type in Instagram logo. Hopefully this actually works. It's a .svg dot another thing, so I wouldn't actually be surprised if it didn't work. Okay, let's grab another Instagram logo. Let's make this look pretty, and let's just do like a JPG or a PNG. This looks a little annoyingly blurry. That looks way too small. Is it seriously that hard to find a freaking Instagram logo? No way. That's crazy. Okay, we'll do that. So I'm gonna go over here, select this, replace this with that. Nice. That looks kind of cute. We got our Instagram report tool here now. Wonderful. I think this is reasonable. Oh, okay. This may take a little bit more time than I thought. Nope. Ah, there we go. Remember, this isn't a graphic design tool. This is a dashboard tool. I don't need this, so I can just delete this. I'm gonna delete this, and then I'm going to have this be my date range picker. So I'm just gonna put that. Actually, I don't know why it needs to be down there. Let's put it up here. And then why don't we grab everything and then move it all? Oh, I guess we'll just keep everything up here. I'm just gonna select all these fields, move this up higher. And then first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna hard code in the name. You don't have to hard code in the name, of course, you can make everything dynamic. And then first we're going to have followers. And then down here we're going to do, okay, it looks like actually it already pulled everything that we need. So here we want following. So I'm going to click on, if you've never used Data Studio or Looker Studio before, it can be very intimidating at first glance. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to give every one of these a click, and then I'm going to go over to metric. Metric is the specific field that we want to pull. The field that we want to pull in this case is following. So I just clicked following, and you see that it's replaced with the following count. But you'll see that there's a little bit of a knack to it, because this is 2.6K. What does that really mean? So I'll show you in a second. The other metric I want is posts. I don't actually need this one here. Looks like they're all grouped together, which is why when I selected that, I deleted the whole thing. But we can also delete these things individually. So that's what I'm doing here. Then I'm going to drag this and make this a lot wider. And the reason why is because I think that followers is probably the most important metric that we have. And so I want to see all of it. This is a chart, so I'm just going to drag this chart all the way out, center it a bit. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about what's going on here and why it says 6.4K followers. Well, on the left of this tiny little metric here, you'll see that there's the word sum. And if you don't define what you want, like the operation that you want to do on the report metric, it'll usually just default to sum. So we don't actually want sum because if you think about it, like this is currently going into our dashboard. It's collecting all of the records, and then it's just summing all these up, 6,449. We don't actually care about that. What we care about is the last record. Okay, and so in order to make this show only the most recent result, all we need to do is we need to click on the metric here, scroll down to default date range, go to custom, and then instead of the default, which is auto date range here, we go to today. And logically, if our system is scraping every morning, let's say at like, I don't know, 12 a.m. or something like that, then this will only show the data gotten that day, which presumably is the thing that's important because this is the sort of like scorecard metric that a lot of people are going to look at. What is my current follower count, right? They don't have to log in Instagram anymore. They can just go right over here and they can see it. So right now we have 1.3K followers. Now that's not as granular as I would like. I want this to be more granular. I don't want to compact the numbers. So I'm going to go to style and then I'm going to click uncompact numbers. And now we can see exactly how many followers we have, 1,343. I'm going to do the same thing on this following metric. And then this one says following here. I meant to click posts. So I'm going to go back to setup and then set a following. We'll do posts. And then again, this is summing. We don't want this to sum. We're going to go default date range custom, and then I'm just going to set both of these to today. Both the following and then the posts. We'll go custom, and then today. So now we have 533 following today, 1,343. Next, I'm going to click on this little metric, and then I'm just going to move. You have to hold shift in order to move it a very tiny bit. If you don't, it's going to move a lot. Anyway, I don't really like how this is sort of high up, so I'm just going to center all these, make this a little bit prettier to me anyway. There we go. Okay, now it's time to do some editing to these charts here. I don't really like these charts. I think they're kind of buggy, so I'm actually just going to go make my new ones. I'm just selecting these, and then I'm clicking delete. And then I'm going to go to add a chart up here. What I want is I want a time series chart. Click to add or drag or draw. That looks pretty good already. So I'm just going to make this a little wider. And then I'm just going to put this, I don't know, something like that. Now you'll see that the date range automatically goes back to April the 25th. And so the reason why is because we have a master date picker basically up here that's automatically connected to each of our charts. And so if we want to fix this, we need to click on this. And then I'm just going to make this, I don't know, be the last 7 days, I would say. Click apply. It's saying that we only have 3. Oh, yeah, that's because the current date, according to this, is not right. This week to date. Sounds good. So 20th, 21st, 22nd. I think the reason for that is because 20th, 21st, 22nd. It's not getting 23rd and 24th just because of my my time zone. So I'm going to say, let's just do 20th to 25th. And let's just set it manually for now. I'm sorry, 24th, I guess. Yeah, kind of annoying, but my time zones are all mucked up on my Google account, so I'm not going to spend all the time to fix it. And then I'm just going to make some minor like aesthetic improvements of this. I don't really like the fact that right now you can, I think the axes are good actually, but I don't like the fact that we have like a label with a legend. There we go. So that's how I fix that. Make this a little bit bigger here. And then, I don't know, I think the colors have a lot to do with it too. I also don't like the fact that we have a bunch of like lines here. I wish we could remove these lines. There's a way to do so. I've just kind of forgotten how to here. So we'll keep the follower count there. Oh, grid. Yeah, I guess it's grid. Okay, I think I can probably make it transparent, yeah? Nope, that's not it. Do not do that. Hey, there we go. You know, on second thought, it doesn't look that bad. Like, it's okay, I guess, but it's not very informative this way, so maybe we'll go to style. And then where it says grid, over here, we'll make the grid color like the lightest white. Okay, that's much better. Hopefully you guys can see, but there's just some very light white lines there. Also, the color, while I'm at it, is not very nice. This color should be much more representative of Instagram, so I'm gonna go over here. And then, what color is Instagrammy? I guess this pink. Yeah, that looks sort of Instagrammy. We can obviously change everything else about this too. We could change the colors of the border. So I can make, ooh, nope. Don't do that. You see how there's like these dotted borders around the whole thing? We should be able to change that. One of these is the dotted border. Either they keep moving it around or I'm just getting old beyond my years. No, we want a solid line. Maybe we'll change this to 2. And then what we want is, we want this grid to be not transparent. One of these. Chart border color, probably. Okay, well, I don't know if we can escape the blue border just yet, unfortunately. We could have follower count, but we don't really need to, so I'm gonna leave that out. That's white. That just changes the opacity of everything. All right, whatever. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. Oh, man, it was just because I was freaking selecting it. So silly. Anyway, you can obviously change this to like a bar chart if you want. I don't really find it as informative. It's just a line chart, so I'm going to leave it as a line chart. And then I'm not going to ruin the placement at all. Great, now that I have this follower chart, I'm just going to copy it, paste it, so Control-C, Control-V. And then I'm just going to make a much smaller version for my following here. And then I'm going to do the same thing for posts here. Now, in order to change the data, I'm just going to scroll down to where it says followers. I'll just change it to following. Voila. This shows my increase in following over time. And then instead of followers here, I'm just going to do posts. Now I can see my posts increase over time. They increase sort of like linearly or step function because I just increased the hell out of them. For examples, I'm going to delete the rest of these. I don't really need these. And then I'm going to, I don't know. I mean, we're trying to do this as simply as possible, right? So if I go theme and layout, should be able to change the height of this. So yeah, 1450 is a little too big, so we'll do 900 to start. Then I'll do 500 to start. Oh, well, that's almost perfect. 550, we'll do 575. Okay, we'll do 525, 515, 510. Okay, 510 it is. Now I'm just going to make a couple of very brief and small aesthetic improvements because I want this to look a lot sexier. Very simple stuff. I'm just going to go to style in this date picker, and then I'm just going to set the border radius to like 4 or something. So I'm just going to round all the corners. I'm going to do the same thing here with this white background section. We're just going to choose 4 as like our default here. Maybe I'll do a little bit more actually. This is so big, I think it needs 10. And then if you copy a module here, you can actually then click on another one and then click paste special, paste style. And then it'll like automatically paste whatever the style is that you pulled in. So I'm going to do the same thing here for this last section. Paste the style. Now we got these nice rounded corners. This looks a little sexier. And actually, you know what? While I was doing that, I should have made a couple of other changes here. I don't like the border color. I think it could look a lot better if it was lighter. So I'm going to go in there and just do the same thing. Copy, then paste style, paste style. And then notice how we have this gray background here. I'm not a fan of that either. So I'm just going to go over here. It'll make that, I mean, we could just go white. But I don't really like white either. You can also select your own color. So I'm going to go as close to white as possible. Maybe just a little bit darker, like that. There you go. This stuff is still visible. Now I'm going to click into each of these, and then if I go to style, you'll see that there's a font section. It's currently selecting Roboto. There are a ton of fonts that you could use to really like make your thing pop a bit. I think the one that I like using the most, and I don't remember exactly where it was Railway. I believe it was Railway. I don't know, Railway looks a little less good now. Yeah, or maybe it was Quicksand. Oh, sorry, it was Quicksand. There we go. So what you can do is you can do the same thing. You copy, and then you paste special, paste style. It'll change the font to Railway for me, which is nice. So that's cool. And then you can also do the same thing with these charts. So I'm going to go to style, and then all the way down here, you'll see there's Roboto. I'll change this to, sorry, I believe I was using Quicksand. Yeah, Jesus. That's what happens when you're sick, ladies and gentlemen. Stay healthy. Eat your vitamin C. Sorry, I was only changing the font of the, I was only changing the font of the legend there, but I actually wanted to change the font of everything. So let me just repaste these styles. Then repaste these styles. Awesome. That looks a little nicer. This section up here should be able to change the font on that as well. The way that I'm going to do that is I selected a bunch of these by mistake. Interesting. Oh, it's because they're grouped, so I'm going to click ungroup. It's going to turn them into separate objects again, and then I can click on them. Change this to Quicksand. And I'll change this to quicksand as well. Let's go to style. And then the labels are going to be quicksand. Cool. And then why don't I change this background color? So instead of it being all dark and scary, I use maybe something a little pinker or maybe slightly orange or red or something instead. I could even go light and then dark. I mean, damn, I'm not a designer, clearly. Would it sound like this? That looks a little scary. I don't like that. Okay, what we'll do is we'll just go very dark pink. This pink is here. We'll go dark pink like this. That looks a little better. Nice. Awesome. And there you have it. There's a quick and easy report, essentially, that took us, I don't know, probably about 20 minutes to set up. Realistically, you could probably set something up like this in 5 if you were so inclined and you understood the steps. But I was still mucking through a tiny bit of that. Keep in mind that you can do this for any social media profile. It doesn't just have to be Instagram. You could, for instance, extend this, and so you could have an Instagram report section, a Twitter report section, another report section. You could run summary statistics on this, quite simply, which is just beyond the scope of the video and the time that I have, but you can essentially run comparisons on, how much have it grown over the previous period. This might represent like an 8% increase or something, so where do we see that? How does this growth of this previous period compared to the last previous period? You could sketch out some content ideas. You could have GPT-4 or something go through this dashboard and then give you a list of content ideas based off of the posts that you had previously. We didn't enter the post information here, but there was post information getting pulled out of the Apify scraper, if you guys remember. So you could feed that post information in and have it like generate you a new post idea and then say next post and then, pull from there. There's just so much that you could do with a tool like this. And the crazy part is that there are a lot of SaaS companies out there that essentially scrape data explicitly using tools like Apify or their own backend scrapers, but then use Looker Studio or some front-end app like this to just display it. And then they charge you $15 or $20 or $30 a month for it. Multiply that by 1,000 people, you're making some pretty good money, right? Great news is you don't actually need to be a programmer in order to do that. You can do that with make.com pretty straightforwardly. Awesome. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. Had a lot of fun putting it together. I think that working with Looker Studio, as janky as it may seem from time to time, really is a superpower if you consider the cost savings of a platform like this relative to like Plecto or one of these other dashboard services that cost like $400 or $500 a month. So that's pretty cool. If you guys have any questions on this, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'm more than happy to help. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube stuff. And last but not least, join my community. I got the link in the description along with a link to the blueprint for this specific video. Thanks so much. I will see y'all soon. Bye-bye.